call. This is your last one and a courtesy call. Hey, it could be danger up in this club. When we get started and we ain't.
Hey guys, welcome back. Orbomb here, bringing you another episode of our PTCGO content. Now today I'm bringing you something, a little bit of a different video. I don't know what I'm gonna call this, maybe like tips and rage. I don't know what I'm gonna call this. All I know is that this is kind of like a mini set review / like tips of what you should and shouldn't buy as far as the set goes, like what's important to get, what's important for the meta, and what's not terribly important, so you don't have to bother buying it. And for those people that like only buy singles instead of packs, what you want to have your eyes out for, what's going to be worth a good amount of money, what's not going to be worth a amount of money, and also my rage, because I'm not happy about this set. I mean, it's a really good set, and that's what bothers me. I might get into that at the end of the video, but for now, I do want to talk about two cards, because these two cards are going to be so important, so incredibly important for this upcoming meta, that I have to talk about them first. The first one is going to be, and I'm going to start with this one because it's probably the scariest card. People are fearing it. Hardcore, ignore the system sounds. I'm actually mute those so this doesn't happen too much. Let me mute Chrome's muted, and then we have system sounds. Here we go. This is one of the scariest cards in the set because it's very reminiscent of the old Night March, as in like it's a one prize attacker that can hit for very big numbers for one energy cost. That is Garbodor. As you can see right here in front of you, hopefully it comes out good in the capture. It should be good in the capture. It looks like it's good in the capture, but as you can see right here, Garbodor is a 120 HP Pokemon, stage 1, so it's very, very easy to come out, get out. Here's a picture of the non-English version, but it doesn't matter. This is the full confirmed set list for America. We're getting every single one of these cards that you see here, so we're gonna pretty much scroll through, and I'm gonna show you guys the important ones. But the reason why this card is scary is because it has the attack Trash-a-Lance. Trash-a-Lance. This attack does 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. At first it seems like whatever, but when you actually think about it, think about all the items that most decks play. All right, let me go, like, you guys know me, you guys know Orbomb general deck building things. 4 Ultra Balls, 4 VS Seekers, 4 Trainer Mails. That's 12 items. For whatever reason, if you have multiple of those in the discard pile, if you have all of them in the discard pile, you're hitting, a Garbodor is hitting against you 2400. It's a lot of damage. Now, we have a bunch of other items we play in decks. Hammers, Enhanced Hammer, Escape Ropes and Switches, tools like Fighting Fury Belts, Float Stones. That's just to name a few things like off the top of my head. If you're playing a speed deck, you have max elixirs. Some people play multiple super rods. Some people play, they're going to be playing things like Rescue Stretcher. We're going to have Field Blower in the set, as you'll soon see. There's a lot of items in the format that are really, really good. Level Ball, Nest Ball, Timer Ball, like so many search options, so many good things in the format. Acro Bikes is another one. Like, I'm just naming items as I think about them. Spirit Links. Ooh, Spirit Links. And I want you, the next time you play a game, pay attention to how many items you play in the first couple of turns in the game. Just think about it. If you're a competitive player, just think about how many items you play in the beginning of the game. And then think about Garbodor. Garbodor is a deck that's taken over Japan. Like, it's a deck that has been taking over Japan. It can be played with multiple different things. You can play it with anything that plays Psychic Energy. You can play it with the other Garbodor that turns off abilities. So you can essentially turn off your opponent's abilities and force them to not want to use items. It's not like Vileplume where you can't use them. This is where you just don't want to use them. It makes it harder for you to thin out your deck, so it's easier for you to draw stuff. It's very hard to deal with. Garbodor is going to be a deck that's very hard to deal with. It's only a one prize attacker as well, which means that even if you do knock it out, you're probably going to have to knock out like 6 more if they play Super Rods and ways to get things back. It is weak to Psychic, which is nice. So, but a big problem with being weak to Psychic is that other decks, like big decks that are Psychic types, are also weak to Psychic. And being weak to Psychic means you're weak to Garbodor, who is going to be a very, very, very good budget deck. So be on the lookout for that. Prepare to build differently than you're ever used to, because we're going to have to adjust to this. Saying that though, I do want to say that right away. If you want to build a deck that's cheap-ish, that's very versatile, because you have a lot of deck space with a card like this, because all you're really doing is playing a handful of energies, 4 Trebuchets, 4 Garbodors, and ways to get them back. You have room to play whatever else you want. This is a card that you should look into getting. It's an uncommon, so it's not hard to get. So go ahead, if you want to invest in that, get this. Also, the new Trebuchet is actually pretty nice. Let me scroll up. I forgot the dimensions of my video are different. There we go. Yeah, this new Trebuchet is pretty nice. It has 70 HP, which is nice, and it has its first attack, Stomp Off, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. It's good. You can play this, you can pair it well with Garbodor because it forces your opponent to discard a card. Then if you play things like Mill, or if you play Mill, like you can play Team Rocket's Handiwork, force them to put some items in the discard pile by discarding the top of their hand. Play maybe a Delinquent, force them to discard some cards in their hand. Maybe play it with Serena to force them to discard items in their hands. Who knows? The Garbodor is going to be a very interesting Pokemon. I can't wait to see how it works. I also can't wait to figure out how the meta is going to adjust to it. I want to say that's the first card I want to talk about. And the second card, as everybody already knows, it's probably one of them. Oh, hold on. I don't know if you guys saw that. Hold on. I don't know if that got caught in the recording, but I might have froze for a second. I apologize. But we have our new friend, probably savior, Tapu Lele. As you guys already know, Tapu Lele has this excellent ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So it's supporter search. Now, supporters are going to be probably a lot bigger in the format with Garbodor. You're probably going to want to play a lot more supporters than items, which is going to be very, very unique, very different. But with Tapu Lele in the format, it's easier to play a lot of those one-off supporters. It's easier to play things like Skyla, Wally if you're an evolution deck. What else? Like Kukui, which you usually don't want to play too many of. It's easier for you to get Sycamores or Ends right away in the game. That's just to name a couple things. Of course, there's Hex, Ranger, Ace Trainer. There's so many good supporters in the game, and Tapu Lele just makes supporters better because it's easier for you to get them. It does have a really good attack and energy drive. The attack does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. It isn't affected by weakness or resistance, and because of that, it makes it very, very similar, if not the exact same, as Lugia EX's Arrow Ball, which does the same thing, and it was able to hit for weakness, but nothing's weak to colorless. Tapu Cure GX heals 2 of your bench Pokemon altogether for 1 psychic energy. So again, just another great card in this deck. Another thing you just throw in the Garbodor, really, because you're playing the psychic energies anyways. And unlike Shaman, it's not that bad to start off with because it has a pretty high HP count, 170. So this card is going to change the game. It's starting at 40. It's not Shaman levels. I would say if you're going to be a person that wants to play the game competitively, grab yourself 2 of these right away. It's an investment because you're spending 40 bucks on them. You're essentially spending 80 bucks or a little bit under 40. Like I know Darium's has them for 37 something, but I would definitely buy 2 of these right off the bat. It's so important to have because this is going to be not only for this format right now, but for this upcoming format. When we lose the Roaring Sky set and we lose Shaman, this is going to be our way to accelerate without this is going to be our way to accelerate in the game. Definitely buy 2 of these. It's super duper important. It also makes it easier for you to deal with Garbodor because when you're playing supporters for the turn, you don't have to play as many items. We have search supporters, we have Mallow that can let us grab the top 2 cards of our decks. We have draw supporters, we have shuffle draw supporters. We have so many supporters that can help you not play items in the game. So I say A+ to Tapu Lele. Pray for Lele, as I'm going to start saying every time I open up packs. We pray for the Lele. We pray for the late. But anyways, go ahead and buy yourself a couple of these. Now we're going to go ahead back to the top because those 2 are going to actually solidify everything else I want to talk about. As far as the set goes, we're just going to scroll by here. We're not going to talk about too much. Me and Styx did do a complete set review. So if you guys do want to go find that, it is going to be in both of our channels somewhere. Go ahead and check that out if you want to see like a thorough set review where we talk about each and every card. But I'm just going to be talking about these handfuls here. We're going to talk about this Trevenant. This Trevenant's going to be good as long as we have Vileplume in the format. It has 120 HP stage 1 grass type Pokemon. We have a grass type Phantump as well, which is something worth mentioning because that means you can evolve straight into your Trevenant. It's so hard to manage this website. I don't know, or not the website. Shout out to PokeBeach, by the way, great website. We we have this Phantom here. It does 10 damage. I mean, that matters, right? It's a grass type, so it can evolve right away with Force of Giant Plant, so you can have turn 1 Trevenants without the need to wait a turn. And Trevenant over here has this really interesting attack. Sorry for all the clicking, by the way. I am on my laptop. Poltergeist. Poltergeist does 30 damage and times the number of item cards in your opponent's hand. And by items, I mean trainers, not items. So you look at your opponent's hand, you reveal their hand, and you do 30 damage for each trainer card you find in there. Trainers include stadiums and supporters and tools and everything that isn't a Pokemon or an energy. That's a lot of damage that you're going to be doing to your opponent. And under Vileplume, where you can't play items, and you're forced to constantly hit the you're forced to constantly keep everything in your hand, or Sycamore or N. It's a good deck. It's a very good deck. I can definitely see this being paired with Garbodor as well, because you either hit them for Poltergeist and punish them for keeping them in their hand, or you hit them for punishing them and from putting them in the discard pile. Very good Pokemon. I like it a lot. Hornleech isn't really an issue to talk about. It does 90 damage. It doesn't really matter. Poltergeist is what you're going to be spamming the majority of the game. I like Trevenant. If you're a Vileplume lover and you want to play another cheap card in Vileplume, it is cheaper than Decidueye. It is just an actually, I think this one's a rare. I can't tell from here, but I think it's a rare. But it's not going to be expensive. It's not like a holo rare or anything like that. Definitely look into getting some of those. Obviously, selfless plug here. If anybody's in need of any cards and they want to buy it from me, you can always PM me on Twitter or on a Facebook group or anything like that. I do have bunches of boxes coming in, so I have plenty of extras, and I can always cut my viewers a deal because I love my viewers. Fliptini, I want to talk about this real quick. It might be something I'll grab while you can, because its Victory Star ability lets you, once during your turn, you can flip any coin for an attack. When you flip any coins for an attack, you may ignore all results of those flips and begin flipping those cards again. You can't use more than one Victory Star ability each turn. Right now, it's not too great. Obviously, there's nothing terribly competitive that relies on flips. Most things that rely on flips aren't going to be competitive. There's some fun things. I want to play Steelix EX, which does 100 damage for each heads you pull, but it's also a 5 energy attack. So there's that. But I mean, I think Victini is going to be good at some point, because we're just waiting for the perfect flip Pokemon to come into the format, and once we do, you can spam Victini with it. So try to grab yourself maybe 1 or 2 of these if you can. I feel like it's worth holding on to while they're cheap. We're gonna keep scrolling down here. Oricorio, I did definitely like gas this card up. Sorry, I can't make it smaller, but I definitely gassed this card up whenever I was talking about Incineroar. I don't think Incineroar is going to be a great deck by any means, but Passionate Dance does make Incineroar better. You can search your deck for up to 3 basic fire-type Pokemon, put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. It is a 1 energy attack and a 1 energy retreat cost. So you can put 3 Littens on your bench on your first turn by putting Oricorio out. It is searchable by Level Ball, Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, just not Timer Ball. And then you can set up your field immensely, and then you can retreat the following turn because there's only 1 energy attack. And as you guys already know, Hustling Strike from Incineroar GX is a 1 energy attack that does 20 more damage for each fire type Pokemon on your bench. So Skyfield plus Oricorio setup plus max potions, because it's a 1 energy attack, could be really nice. Something worth looking into if you're interested and really likes Incineroar as a Pokemon. I know that I really like all the starter Pokemon so much that I wanted to build decks for each ones. Premier is going to be hard, but I think with Tapu Lele, you have room to try to build a Archie's deck again, because we could search for Archie's Archie's secret base, or it's whatever it's called, Hidden Baldrick. That's what it's called, Archie's and Maxie's Hidden Baldrick. I mean, there might be possibilities there, but we'll see. We're going to keep moving on here. By the way, this is all my opinion. I don't want to state this all as fact. I just want to remind you guys right now. If there's anything you missed, or anything that you think I missed that's important, I might make a part 2 to this video. If I missed a lot of stuff, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to drop a like, by the way. Remember, 35 likes means 5 people in the comment section down below do get 2 Roaring Skies and 2 Sun and Moon packs on PTCGO. And when Guardian Rising come out, I'll probably throw in 2 more of those too. We'll see. Here's another card though. We have Turtonator GX. Turtonator GX, I definitely feel like you shouldn't be getting more than 1. It's a cool card. It's not a deck that I think is going to be competitive playing a 4 of in a deck. But if you're a big Volcanion player, or you just feel like there's going to be cards in the future that make Turtonator better. It does have really interesting attacks. Trap, Shell Trap, 20 damage. If the Pokemon's damaged by an attack during your opponent's next turn, place 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. That's 8. You attach a Bursting Balloon to that, you're essentially knocking out Shaymins. It does 140 damage to your opponent, and then you're doing 20 damage to them, so that's 160. Altogether, they choose to attack you. It's essentially saying, hey, don't attack me, you don't want to. That's interesting in itself. You're probably not going to be using that much, although you can add it up with Volcanion. Crimson Flame is where it's really at. You're doing 160 damage, discard 2 fire energy attached to this Pokemon. I like it. The reason why I like Crimson Flame in Volcanion is because your opponent, if your opponent hexes you, you're only hitting for 130 in Volcanion. At least with Turtonator, you can hit for 160. That way, even if your opponent hexes you, it's like you already have 1 steam up. You're discarding 2 fire energies, not a big deal when you can accelerate with the baby Volcanion. Nitro Tank GX, attach 5 fire energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon any way you like. It's just a huge way to accelerate your energies right away. You don't have a GX attack in Volcanion decks for the most part, so I think it's worth playing one of in the deck. See if you like it. If you're a Volcanion player, go ahead and get yourself one of these. I know I have one extra that I have up for trade, which I'm excited to like. I'm so excited for like this set, guys. There's so many good things, but I'm so mad that they printed a ridiculously large amount of secret rares that's going to make this set impossible to get the master of. As you guys know, I'm a master set collector. If you guys have anything you want to trade me or sell me, let me know, because I'm going to be in need. This set's going to be impossible. Anyways, moving on. One card that I'm really excited about is Alolan Ninetales, but first let's talk about the Vulpix. Now, I talked about earlier how it is important that you don't play too many items, especially with Garbodor in the format. Vulpix is really nice because it has its first attack, which is for no energy, so it's a free attack. Most Alolan Pokemon have that. Search your deck for 2 Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand. So it's just a way to get 2 Pokemon in your hand without the need to use Ultra Ball, Level Ball, any search cards or anything like that. You don't have to spam Sycamore N to find your Pokemon. So I like Vulpix for that. It means you can set up for the following turn, grab yourself another Vulpix and an Alolan Ninetales. Now, Alolan Ninetales, I slept on an Alolan Ninetales when it first came out. I regret it completely. I think Alolan Ninetales is a busted card. 210 HP and weak to steel. Now, as you guys know, there's only really 2 things that you can really think of off the top of your head that are steel types, and that is Mega Scizor and Solgaleo. And I guess Metagross too, but sorry for yawning. But once again, they're all slow decks. They're all not great. They're all weak to Volcanion, and Volcanion's too big of a threat right now. But you hit Volcanion for weakness, which is really nice. You have 210 HP, and at first, my first thought whenever I saw this was, oh, we have Lapras. Lapras with a belt is 230 HP. But then Field Blower is announced, and Field Blower can remove those Fighting Fury belts, putting you back down to 190, which sucks. And Alolan Ninetales GX, I mean, it's now like the fact that we have these stage 1 or stage 2 Pokemon with these big HP numbers is going to be a lot more prevalent since we have Field Blower, because Field Blower can just remove your belts. Alolan Ninetales has 3 amazing attacks. Ice Blade does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you hit the bench, you can weaken things down. Hitting the bench to weakening them for your other attacks is really nice. Also, like, there's some Pokemon that have 40 or 50 HP you can just knock out in one hit. There's some Pokemon that are ridiculously fat that you need to weaken. I'm repeating myself at this point. You get the idea. Some Pokemon that, you hit them with your Blizzard Edge, does 160 damage. It doesn't knock them out, they retreat. You can snipe them with an Ice Blade. And it's only for a DCE, which this deck will be playing DCEs, because you have the attack Blizzard Edge. 160 damage, discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. Well, you can simply discard your 1 DC you have attached. You have cards like Aqua Patch to accelerate energies from your discard piles. You can keep your water energies on the field, and you can just discard DCEs over and over again. Blizzard Edge is a great attack. We have Choice Band as well, which can make it 190 damage. So you'll be hitting for knockout numbers. And we have Ice Path GX, another attack that's only 2 energies, a DCE. Move all damage counters from this Pokemon. Oh, I'm sorry again, guys. I'm recording this super late. We do one takes. We are a live YouTube channel. We have Ice Path GX. Remove all damage counters from this Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. This is really, really nice. This is really nice because it's like you're max potioning yourself while putting all the damage counters on top of your opponent's Pokemon, on top of the damage they already have. This is really nice for Garbodor because Blizzard Edge, Oko's Garbodor. You don't have to play too many items in this deck. Obviously, you have Aqua Patch, where there are ways to work around that. And then, because of your massive HP, it's hard for Garbodor to knock you out early game, and then you can fully heal yourself once. And it's just going to be so nice. It is a water-type Pokemon, which means you have cards like Glaceon, which blocks Garbodor, and other decks like Lurantis, which is going to be also pretty big, because Lurantis can hit for decent numbers now. You're a water, so you hit Volcanion for weakness. You can actually snipe things like Vileplumes on the bench with your Ice Blade 3 times and you knock it out. You can always Lysander things around too. I think Alolan Ninetales is going to be a very versatile deck, a very strong deck, and I honestly can't wait to try it. I might honestly replace my baby Lapras with it too, but we will see. I love Lapras to death, you guys already know that, but this might be the new main, to be honest, because I really, really like this card. That and Tapu Koko, which we'll get into whenever we find it. I guess we can talk about Wailord real quick. I don't really like the card, but I can see why some people would really like it. It's 200 HP stage 1 non-GX Pokemon, so it's a really, really fat Pokemon. We do have Aqua Patch to accelerate energies, and it has the attack dive. Flip a coin if heads prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So you can be immune if you get a heads, and we have that wonderful Flip Teeny right now, which means you only have a 25% chance of getting tails. Whenever you play Wailord. Definitely something to look into if you want to be like an annoying deck. You can always play things like Hammers and Grunts and other evil team member cards to disrupt your opponent while you do small amounts of damage, and you have that massive HP. So even if you do fail a coin flip, you can at least tank a hit. We have Rough Seas. We even have Lele to fully heal you if you want to play Lele. So Wailord's another card to talk about, something worth getting if you're interested. Now the cool thing about the set, which is something I haven't mentioned yet, is that a lot of these cards are like archetype cards, right? So you don't have to buy the things that you don't want. You can only buy the things that you do want for your deck, and any other tech things you might want. So it's a set that's interesting because there's a lot of options in it. For a master set collector like myself who wants 4 reverses of each things and 1 ultra rare of each one, and then I want like 7 ultra rares Tapu Leles, but that's impossible. I mean, not much to talk about there. But like for the average player, it's very, very nice. I do want to talk about Wish-Wash real quick. Don't play it. Alright, moving on. It's garbage. Like, it's cool, it's 210 HP, water type, so you have all the benefits of being a water type, but it's a 5 energy attack cost. I guess it's the same, like you can Aqua Patch and then play DCEs to use Blue Surge DX, and then you have a Micro Burst Vortex, which can discard a special energy card, but you have things like Drampa GX, which does that, Jirachi promo, 220 HP, 220, doesn't even knock out everything right now, so I wouldn't play it. Vikavolt GX, it's interesting in theory, but it's another card that I really wouldn't get. Charge Beam does 15, you can attach an energy. You compare it with the other Vikavolt that puts 2 energies from your deck to your Pokemon in any way you like. Grass and Lightning, that is. Super Zapcan does 180 damage, but you have to discard. There's only so many times you could like recharge yourself unless your strategy goes by beautifully. And then you have Gigatron GX, which does 60 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, if you play Wide Lens, which hits the bench with super effective damage, I guess in theory, you can knock out all Mega Rayquaza's Shamans for game in 1 turn. But realistically, that's not going to be a thing that happens because Mega Rayquaza is going to be a lot less popular in my opinion because we do have a new card to deal with Mega Rayquaza, which I'll talk about later, Sudowoodo. But yeah, I don't think Vikavolt's worth getting, guys. Unless you pulled one and you just want to be like, oh, I want to finish a set. But let's talk about Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko is very interesting. You guys have already seen my video on it most likely. I really like Tapu Koko. I think Tapu Koko is meta defining. Being a lightning type is really, really interesting in the TCG because we've honestly had no good bulky lightning type Pokemon before. And now we finally do. It has 3 interesting aspects to it. Arrow Tail, which once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand into your bench, you may move all number of lightning energies attached to your Pokemon to this Pokemon. If you move energy, switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon. So, people are playing Float Stones, Escape Ropes, and Switches, right? Those are all cards that Garbodor can take advantage of if you play them. But with Tapu Koko, you don't need any of that. You can just switch for free because all you have to do is move one single energy card anywhere from the field onto that Tapu Koko, and then it becomes your active Pokemon. So you have a heavily damaged Tapu Koko in the active, you drop one, you put that one to the bench, and then you can do things like Pokemon Center Lady, Max Potion, whatever you want to do to that benched one. Very, very nice. You have something stuck in the active like a Hoopa or Oranguru, just examples of things that have big retreat costs. Of course, so you're probably not playing those cards in that deck. But you can essentially put an electric energy somewhere on the field, use Tapu Koko's ability, put yourself active. It's just a nice way to be free retreat. Skyclaw does 130 damage, and 130 damage is a perfect amount, right? You hit 2-hit KO everything, because nothing that I can think of has over 260 HP, except for a Belted Wailord EX, but I think you can deal with that. You OHKO things like Yveltal, Mega Rayquaza. We finally have a lightning type that can OHKO Mega Rayquaza that isn't like Raichu or something, or the dependence, you know. You already OHKO things like Shaman. You OHKO Yveltal, which is really big because Yveltal's always been a good Pokemon. And then you have Tapu Thunder GX. It's 50 damage times the number of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. A lot of times your opponents are going to have energies on the field. You're playing Speed Dark, that's just a huge punishment. First, just one OHKO anywhere you want on the field. A lot of times your opponent will have multiple energies on the field because they need to keep themselves active and accelerating. Decks that won't do that are low energy decks. And Skyclaw does OHKO Garbodor, another thing to keep track of. So, I like it. You have other cards that can support it. Belt puts you 210 HP. Choice Band means you hit for 160. We have an Aether Paradise Conservation Area that reduces damage to electric and grass, basic electric and grass type Pokemon by 30, which means that your Tapu Koko GX is essentially a 240 HP Pokemon when you have a belt, which means the only way to OHKO it is to hit 240 HP, which is really nice. I like Koko. I think it's going to be pretty popular in the meta because you would think that you need to have multiple energies on the field, so you have to use Max Elixir and stuff like that. But in reality, all you need is 3 energies on the field, and then you just need to drop Kokos whenever one becomes a threat. And then you just move the 3 energies back, and move the 3 energies back, and move the 3 energies back. I really like Koko. That just could be me. If you want to play a Tapu Koko deck, you should buy 4 of these, because you need 4 in the deck if you're going to play it. We already talked about Garb. Just looking around. If you're an expanded player, this is something to look into. Actually, we're going to talk both Oricorios. This is really nice because it has one attack that's a colorless energy attack, and if you play expanded, it's really nice against things like Vespiquen and Night March. Even in standard, it's good against Vespiquen. Supernatural Dance. For each Pokemon in your opponent's discard pile, put 1 damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. Both Vespiquen and Night March abuse having Pokemon in their discard pile, and they're all low HP Pokemon, so you can move these damage counters anywhere you want in the field, taking like 3, 4, 5, 6 prizes at a time. It's amazing. I like Oricorio a lot. I think it's a really, really good card if you're weak to those things, because any deck can play it, because it's a low HP Pokemon, so it's searchable by all sorts of balls, and it's a 1 energy attack cost, and it's a colorless energy, so anybody can play it. And now, for your Gardevoir lovers, such as myself, this Oricorio is actually very, very good. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic energy, reveal them, and put them into your hand. It's a Pokemon drop that's energy acceleration, which means less item cards in your deck for Gardevoir players, and I guess Rayquaza players too. You can play Dragonite to put it back into your hand, and you can use Gardevoir to put it in the discard pile. And it's just your way to get energies without the need to like dig and dig and dig and dig until you get your energy cards. I really, really, really like Oricorio and Gardevoir. So if you're a Gardevoir player, definitely grab yourself 1 or 2 of those. Toxapex GX, I mean, this one is yet to be seen. I haven't talked too much about this card yet because it's an interesting card with 210 HP. It's weak to Psychic, which means it sucks against Garb, and its attacks are interesting. Spike Cannon with Fliptini could be nice, 30 damage. This attack does 30 damage times the number of heads, and you flip 4 times. That means for 1 energy, 120 damage, not too bad. Ultra Toxic Poison is really, really cool for sure. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 10 damage counters instead of 1 on that opponent's between turns. Now, in theory, if they can't switch out by any means, you can put 200 damage on them, which knocks out a lot of things. But that's all in theory. There is lots of ways to switch in our current format. But you're always doing 100 damage, which is nice. 100 damage though for 3 energies. And it's none of them are colorless either, which means it's going to be hard to play this because you can't max elixir. If you play this in Lunala decks, it becomes a little bit clunky because you're playing a stage 2 or stage 1 with a stage 2. And it's still 3 psychic energies. That's a lot to ask, especially in this format, which I feel like is kind of slowing down for some decks and speeding up for others. And then we have Toxic Shelter GX. Now, I really like this card. 150 damage, this attack, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn, which means you are immune. You are just straight immune. It gives you an extra turn to set up. You're doing 150 damage. It's for the 3 energy cost. I like it a lot. I think Toxic Shelter is great. So Toxapex, if you really want to build Toxapex, I'd say get it. But I honestly don't know if it's going to be meta defining by any means. It all depends. It all depends on like what we see in the format coming up. But I want to also talk about Mimikyu. Mimikyu is going to be interesting for decks that have energy movement like Lunala, or if you can rely on max elixirs and you play Psychic. Because Copycat, if your opponent's Pokemon use an attack that isn't a GX attack during their last turn, use it as this attack. It's a great way to just drop it, attach your energy, move an energy onto it somehow, and then just boom, you can copy your opponent's attack. If they use a really, really terrifying attack, say like Mega Mewtwo's attack, you can revenge it, knock it out. You're hitting it for super effective. Say you're using Garbodor's attack, you drop this, it's a 1 prize attacker, you copy your opponent's last attack, and then you knock out the Garbodor. Other examples would be something like Solgaleo GX. You copy their 230 damage attack. There's a lot of cool things you can do with Mimikyu. I think it's worth getting 1 or 2 of these if you're a Lunala player or just somebody that plays a lot of Psychic and want to have this nice Psychic tech around. Another card for metal lovers that I know there's a lot of people that really, really like Scizor. Delmise. Delmise is essentially the Regirock EX for steel types. This attack, all your ability Steelworker, your metal Pokemon's attack do 10 more damage. It's nice for Mega Scizor because Mega Scizor can now Field Blower away their own Spirit Link to throw in a Choice Band. So now you're hitting for 150. 2 of these on the bench means you're hitting for 170. 3 is 180. Mega Scizor has potential to do Oko damage now, which is kind of big because Mega Scizor was never really able to do that. And then you have things like Solgaleo, which means you can hit for 250 instead of 230, which means you knock out everything, including the Mirror Match. Metagross GX, you can hit for 180 instead of 150 if you have 3 of these on the bench, which is going to be hard to do because Metagross doesn't have a lot of bench space. But I think Delmise is cool. If you play a lot of metal, you want to play this, I would recommend it. Also, another thing with Metagross is that you can accelerate both Psychic and Metal to this Pokemon. So you can accelerate this to do Anchor Shot. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. Something to 70 damage, not too bad. We already talked about Lele. For Lunala players, I really am really happy that we got this card. This is Lunala, regular Lunala. It has the attack Shatter Shot. There's 40 damage times the amount of Psychic energy attached to this Pokemon. It's another big attacker. For 3 energies, you're hitting for 120, 160 for 4, 200 for 5, 240 for 6. When you play Tapu Lele, you can accelerate energies with Max Elixir because then you have a basic target as well as another Pokemon that can abuse having psychic energies on it. You play the other other Lunala, you can move energies around and you have that GX attack that's a free knockout. I think it's a really cool deck. I've been playing it a lot personally. I really like it. And it has Wings of the Moon. 130 damage, move all energy from this Pokemon to your bench Pokemon any way you like. That reminds me a lot of Y-Cyclone of Yveltal. You can just move all your energies back, which means if you're in fear of being knocked out and you want a non-GX attacker to be knocked out, you can move these all to your bench. One thing I've been testing out lately is moving them all to Regirock, because Regirock keeps your energy safe. They can't Lysander out Regirock, which means there's no way for them to remove a lot of your energies off the field through Lysandering or whatnot. I like Lunala. So if you're a Lunala player or want to try out playing Lunala, I don't think Lunala is the most competitive deck out there, but it's definitely worth getting 1 or 2 of these, maybe 2 or 3 to be honest. Oh, excuse me. Sudowoodo is a card that I'm very, very happy, and I feel like is a much needed card in the format. Sudowoodo has the ability Roadblock. Your opponent can have more than 4 bench Pokemon. If they have 5 or more bench Pokemon, they discard Pokemon until they have 4 Pokemon on the bench. If more than one effect changes the number of bench Pokemon allowed, use a smaller number, which essentially means that if you have a Sudowoodo in Parallel takes the stronger effect. But Sudowoodo is really, really nice because if you're weak to Gardevoir, if you're weak to Rayquaza, you tech in a Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo means Rayquaza is capped at 120 damage, non-stop. They can play Hex, but the second that their turn comes back up, they discard their bench again. and then they have to reset it all up if they play another Hex. But then it's hard for them to set up because they're playing Hex, which means they can't use Dragonite, they can't use Shaman, they can't use Hoopa. I think that this is going to be the thing that kills Rayquaza if it picks up traction. I know that I'm playing it in decks that I feel like Rayquaza is super weak to. I'm going to probably be playing this in Ninetales or Lapras. Definitely playing it in my Evolutions decks. If I don't play the if my Umbreon or Espeon decks, if I don't play the Evolutions, I really like Sudowoodo. I think it's definitely a card everybody should have 1 or 2 of. So get yourself some of these. It's an uncommon. It's not going to be expensive. It might actually. I think it's uncommon. It's probably not a rare. But definitely get yourself some of those. We have some small gimmick cards. Gliscor is one. Let me actually scroll up so you can see it. Finishing Stinger, sending damage for your opponent's active Pokemon has no damage counters on it before this attack does damage. This attack does nothing. So it's a single fighting energy. You have things like Strong Energy, Regirock, Kukui, Choice Band. Ways to increase that. For 1 energy, it can do a lot of damage. It's a little gimmick. If you want to play another budget deck, definitely get yourself a 4/4 line of Gliscor. Gligar is interesting too. It has double shot. Does 10 damage to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It just doesn't do it to the active, which is something you're going to have to work around, because if your active Pokemon never has damage, then you're forced to Lysander. Found this out during pre-release, but this is definitely a thing that actually won me my pre-release games. Shout outs to the pre-release. We have Lycanroc here. If you want to play Lycanroc decks, you can. I think Lycanroc's a very good card. Because it has everything going for it. It has a really good ability, especially in this next format. If you want to prepare for the next format and have a good card for it, definitely buy yourself 2 or 3 of these. Because Bloodthirsty Eyes, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. That's essentially a Lysander, and we're losing Lysander, most likely. So you have a free Lysander, and you can also play other draw supporters on top of it. You have Claw Slash, which is for a energy and a DCE. So it's essentially a 2 energy attack. You do 110 damage. It is a stage 1/2, so you can pair with Evolutions while you have them. 2 KOs a lot of things that matter. You can play Strong Energies while we have them. You can play Kukui and Choice Band to guarantee 2 KOs. Then we have Dangerous Rogue GX. It's a 2 energy attack, fighting in colors. 50 damage. Attack does 50 damage times the number of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So if they have 3 bench Pokemon, you're doing 150 damage. It's a lot of damage. 4, 200 damage. Max damage, 250 damage. That's not counting Skyfield. I think Lycanroc is great. It pairs well with the other Lycanroc. The other Lycanroc has energy disruption, so you can either go the offensive route, you can Lysander around, you have Carbink to accelerate your own energy. This Rockruff can use the attack corner. The defending Pokemon can't retreat, so you can stall for a little bit. I like it. I think Lycanroc's worth getting if you really want to play Lycanroc. Minior is interesting. Minior has the attack Cosmic Explosion. Cosmic Explosion is 190 damage, but knocks yourself out. So you can get, like, for me, I know some of you guys saw that Fighting Toolbox deck I played with Machamp, and then you want to Zygarde take damage, Ninja Boy into Machamp, and then Machamp uses Steaming Hammer for double the damage counters on you. You could do this as well. If one of your Pokemon is about to be knocked out, or you feel like they could be knocked out the following turn, or you just want to take out 2 prices for the price of 1, then you can just go into this. You're doing 190 damage. The only drawback is that it's 3 energies. But if you're interested in some gimmicks like that, you could always get yourself a couple of those. Honchkrow is something that everybody keeps talking to me about, and I like it, but I don't think it's going to be as good as people say they are. It's a stage 1 Pokemon, so once again, anything at stage 1 can abuse Evolutions. You just have 1 retreat, costs 110 damage, and it has the attack Raven's Claw. It does 10 damage. 10 damage. It does 10 more damage for each damage counter on all your opponent's Pokemon. So the idea is you stack up damage on the bench, and then you can hit for huge numbers later in the game. It's just that, like, it's too long of a setup. I don't think it's worth it. You have Sableye here. Everybody hates Sableye for good reason. Limitation: your opponent can't play any support cards from their hand during their next turn. So you can essentially supporter lock your opponent. We have Vileplume in the format right now for item lock. You could also play this in Garb, so you don't want them to play items or supporters at all. It's an evil card. It does have only 60 HP. It is a 1 retreat card Pokemon. If you can grab yourself a couple of these if you want to play something like super scummy. Not like there's anything wrong with it, but, like, you know, there's that. We have Absol here. A lot of people are misunderstanding this card. I do want to make this very clear. Absol has the attack Doom News. Put all energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. At the end of your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will be knocked out. So that's really cool. You can knock out a Pokemon by the end of their turn. There's combinations you can play with that. But I do want to make this very clear. If your opponent switches out for any reason whatsoever, the effect of that attack goes away. So if I were to retreat, I'm no longer knocked out, because the defending Pokemon that was there is no longer the defending Pokemon. It's a different Pokemon. The defending Pokemon means the Pokemon in front of you at that time. But if it's a different Pokemon in front of you later, then that Pokemon will be knocked out because that Pokemon doesn't have the effect on you. So I just want to make that very clear. A lot of people are like, I think some other YouTuber said that by mistake. That's how Doom News works. So I don't think it's worth it. I think it's interesting. I think if you can play this with Servine or something to paralyze, that way your opponent can't retreat. Maybe Vileplume Absol, who knows. But Absol is interesting. Metagross GX I really like personally, but I don't think it's going to be that meta defining of a card. It is a stage 2, 250 HP metal Pokemon. It's weak to fire, which sucks, but it has a really cool attack and Geotech ability. In Geotech system, once during your turn, you may attach a psychic or metal energy from your discard pile to your active Pokemon. You can charge yourself up. You can charge up your Solgaleos. You can charge up anything you want. You can charge up your Tapu Leles even. Giga Hammer does 150 damage, but this Pokemon can't use Giga Hammer during your next turn. Once again, if you were to retreat, just like Lapras, you can retreat and reset yourself. So there's ways around this effect. And then Algorithm GX is kind of busted if you can pull it off. Search your deck for up to 5 cards and put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck afterwards. It's free setup, ridiculously free setup. If your opponent doesn't end you, you can get yourself rare candies, other Metagrosses, any other card you want, energies, items, supporters, whatever you want for the next turn, so you have a perfect next turn. So I like Metagross a lot. If you want to play a Metagross deck, definitely something that's worth getting 3 or 4 of. Solgaleo is something nobody's been talking about, and it's up there for me with Lunala decks, right? Because Solgaleo or Solgaleo, however you want to say it, they both sound really cool to me, because I'm hotter than the sun, Solgaleo. Anyways, Fangs of the Sun is really cool. 160 damage, but you can't use Fangs of the Sun during your next turn. But you have the other Solgaleo, and the other Solgaleo can set up your Solgaleos on the field. So you can put 3 energies on one Solgaleo, another 2 on the other one, and then you can just go between the two. You can use Solgaleo's ability to switch to make a new Pokemon an active Pokemon, or you can just retreat and reset through that ability and stuff like that, which means you can be hitting for a consistent 170 damage, 200 damage with Choice Band, and you have Delmines that can increase the attack damage. I really like Solgaleo. I think it's something, if you want to play a pure Solgaleo deck with Delmines, I think this is something to look into. I like it a lot. I think it's very cool. We're going to move on now though. Sylveon GX is the best card that Disruption has ever wanted. It's a big deck in Japan as well. It's a beautiful card. I love Sylveon. You guys know fairy typing is one of my favorite types, because it has the attack Magical Ribbon, which you can once again use Energy Evolution's Eevee to attach a fairy energy, evolve straight into this, and then a turn 1 or 2 you can attack with Magical Ribbon. Search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand. Those 3 cards could be anything, and a big one in Japan, it's ranging from Hammers, Team Flare Grunts, energies you need next turn, Disruption of any kind. That's the big one right now. But you can pair this with any other deck. Like maybe you want to play an evolution deck that evolves fairy energies for whatever reason. You can use this to get rare candies and stuff like that. So it's a really good way to consistently get what you want, so the game could be always going your way. Fairy Wind does 110 damage for a fairy energy and a DCE, so that's an easy 2-hit KO on a lot of things. And then I don't know how to say it. Somebody let me know in the comments how you say that. Pierre GX. Pick 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Your opponent returns those Pokemon and all cards attached to them to his or her hand. I think it's a busted GX attack. Say that you're fighting Darkrai, right? Or maybe you're fighting an Yveltal that has a lot of energies on it. Well, all you have to do is Lysander out something else in the active, so you have those cards in the bench. You put those cards, all the energy attached to those, so all the hard work they put onto those Pokemon, back into your hand. Your opponent plays evolution cards that revolve rare candy, will put all those Pokemon back into your opponent's hand. Your opponent no longer has rare candy. They don't have the middle evolution to that Pokemon. They can't even put it back on the bench if they wanted to. I think Sylveon's great. I think it's a really, really cool card. Definitely a deck I want to play. I don't really want to play the Disruption build. Maybe I want to try out something different, because I'm not the biggest fan of playing Disruption because it's not my playstyle. But I think it's a really cool card. I'm definitely building a deck. I got to get me 2 more of these, preferably the full art and the hyper rare, just because I like to have one of each rarity. And this is going to be definitely a deck you see on the channel at some point. What else do we got here? Kamou, it's very, very sad. Let me actually scroll up so you can see it. Super sad because as a dragon type, we're already losing double dragon energy in the next format, which sucks. But its attacks are too expensive and they don't do anything interesting. 30 damage, during your opponent's next turn, the opponent takes 30 less damage. It's cool, has a lot of HP, so I guess you can take advantage of that. But it's for 1 energy, it only does 30. Its other attacks cost 4 energy. Sure, you can argue it's a double dragon and a DCE, but 130 damage is just not enough. It's not worth it to be playing all those special energies that your opponent can enhance hammer or use Pokemon attacks to get rid of. And all it does is hit past effects. So you can hit past Glaceon, but you can't even Oko Glaceon with Shred. So Ultra Uppercut GX does 240 damage, so it's a very hard hitting attack. You can Oko anything, especially with a belt. I mean, with a band. But once again, this is your GX attack for the game. I just don't think it's worth it. Shoutouts to Yellow Swellow for this. We already talked about Wailord earlier. This does the same exact thing because it has agility. It has the same exact effect, but it also has the attack Swallow Dive, 40 damage attack. If you used agility during your last turn, it does 80 more damage, which means you hit for 120 if you use agility last turn. And if you combine this with evolutions, you can essentially hit for 240 if you hit for weakness, as well as the fact that they're all 1 energy attacks. Drawbacks is that you're a low HP Pokemon, which means you're going to get knocked out at some point if you miss those flips, and if you don't go for agility the previous turn, they have a chance to revenge you. But you're also a single prize attacker, so there's a lot going for this card in my opinion. Double Ball searchable, Timer Ball searchable, Ultra Ball searchable, not Nest Ball searchable, but the Tailo is. Tailo doesn't have anything going for it, but I think Swellow's great. Honestly, another great budget deck. And if you want to shout out one of your favorite TCG tubers, Yellow Swellow, very popular guy, like one of my good friends. I think one of my good friends. I think this is worth getting for sure. So my little brother Cranium, he really likes Castforms. I'm gonna get him a couple of those. Rayquaza is interesting. Nobody actually knew this was gonna come in our set, but we got it right here instead of a promo. Turbo Storm does 30 damage. Attach 2 basic energies from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. It's another energy accelerator. It's for a DCE attack as well, and you'll be attaching basic energies to your bench Pokemon. But you can only attach to one of your bench Pokemon. But it's still cool because it's an energy accelerator. I think that this format's really skewing towards using less items and using more supporters and Pokemon to do what the items would have done beforehand. So I really like Rayquaza. Something worth getting maybe 2 or 3 of if you just to have them in the back for future decks. And then last Pokemon in the set is going to be Drampa GX. This is a one of for sure in a lot of different decks. I doubt you'll be playing more than 1 in decks, but I guess if you want to be safe, you can grab 2. Drampa GX has 3 really good attacks. It's a colorless Pokemon. You can use any energies attached to it. I like it a lot. Righteous Edge, 20 damage, discard special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Same as Jirachi GX, same as Jirachi promo. It's on a Drampa though, and Drampa has Drampa's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, right? It has the attack Berserk as well. 80 damage if your opponent has any damage counters on them. If your bench Pokemon has any damage counters on them, attack does 70 more damage. It's really easy. You just retreat. You have this thing set up. You can use Max Elixir, DCEs, whatever you want on this thing, and you'll be hitting for 150 damage. Very, very nice. I like Drampa a lot. Great Revolution GX. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 10 cards. If your opponent doesn't end you have 10 cards in your hand. Congratulations. It's really cool. I like it a lot. As far as supporter stadiums items go, we did talk about Aether Paradise Conservation Area, which does reduce the damage to grass and electric type basic Pokemon by 30, which is huge. Reducing damage is so important because it means it's harder for your opponent to knock you out. It's harder for your opponent to get 1 hit KOs or even 2 hit KOs. Rough Seas is interesting because it heals you, but this reduces damage in general, which means that if your opponent's hitting you for 30, you're taking 0 damage. Unfortunately, it only works for basic Pokemon, but it's cool in itself. Alter the Moon, if you play Darkrai, if you play any sort of Psychic deck or Dark deck, grab yourself some of these. Definitely grab yourself 4 of these. That way you can mess around with the numbers in your deck. Alter the Moon, the retreat cost of Pokemon, both yours and your opponent, that has any Psychic or Dark energy attached to it is 2 less. This is another thing that made my Lunala deck so good. I love it a lot. It's really cool. Being able to retreat for a lot less means less float stones, less escape ropes, less switches, yada 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 yada. You know what I mean. You can afford to cut things out of your dark decks too, to cut some escape ropes and stuff like that. Because dark didn't really have a stadium to play. We also now have Sudowoodo, so they don't even have to play parallel for Rayquaza anymore. Ultra the Sun. Let's talk about this real quick. Ultra the Sun is really cool. I like it a lot, but we need to talk about people's misconceptions with this card. They think its ability, by the way, is the fire and metal Pokemon have no weakness. People are like, can't wait to put this in Volcanion. Well, Volcanions' biggest weakness is against Volcanion, right? I mean, obviously we're gonna have fire type, water type Pokemon in the format, and it's gonna be nice for them, kind of. But a lot of the water type Pokemon are still gonna be taking Okos. But you gotta understand that if you're playing this in the Volcanion mirror match, you are giving your opponent more control than you're giving yourself, because you also don't hit them for weakness anymore either. And they can choose whenever they want to bump the stadium or play Field Blower to get rid of it. And then they hit you for weakness before you can hit them for weakness. So I want to throw that out there. Other than that, though, I think if you play any fire and metal type decks, get yourself 4 of these too. It's definitely worth getting. If you play any water type decks, don't ask questions. Just buy 4 Aqua Patches right away. Just don't wait. Just do it right now. You should have already bought them by now if you play water, because this attaches a basic water energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. It's busted. It's broken. It makes so many water decks more viable. It makes decks like Gyarados viable. Gyarados can now be one of the only decks in the format that hits a consistent 200 damage every single turn, because you can accelerate energies so much easier. You have a combination of max elixirs, mega turbos, and Aqua Patches to accelerate your Gyarados with. Like, it's this is one deck out there. You have Lapras, you have Ninetales, you can set up Glaceons. It's Aqua Patch, man. Moving on. Brooklet Hill. When we lose for water type decks, when we lose Rough Seas, I think this is gonna be the new replacement, kind of, maybe not. Fighting type decks really like this card too. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a basic water fighting type Pokemon and put it onto your bench. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Not necessary right now. Maybe grab a couple while you can. Choice Band. This is the card that everybody's been waiting for so long. It does 30 damage to your opponent's, 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX or GX. It's good. Grab 4 of these right away. It makes decks viable. It makes decks like Lurantis viable, because Lurantis could only hit 120 with Solar Blade, but now with the new Lurantis promo that we're getting that increases damage for your grass and fire type Pokemon by 20, on top of Choice Band, your Lurantis will be hitting 170, 190, 210 with Solar Blade, which means that finally Lurantis is going to be up there competing with the competitive decks, because you can now hit for knockout numbers. Things like Umbreon Shadow Bullet, Oko Shamans, and does 30 damage to the bench. With Evolutions, you're hitting 240 after weakness, which is huge, because that Okos things, even with belts on. Solgaleo hits for 260, Metagross hits for 180 without any help. It's such a good card. It makes math so much better. Definitely worth getting a couple of these. Moving on, Energy Lotto is cool for decks like Vespiquen, I guess. So look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal an energy card you find there and put it into your hand. So it's a good way to get DCEs more reliably. If you play Vespiquen, if you play a deck that relies on DCEs, maybe test this out, see if you like it. We did get reprints of Energy Recycler, Enhanced Hammer. Field Blower, definitely get yourself 4 of these. Just good to have 4 in general. Choose up to 2 in any combination of Pokemon Tool cards and Stadium cards in play and discard them. It's really nice for decks like Greninja, anything Volcanion, anything that's weak to Garb. Anything that's weak to belts, you want to take less damage, you want to get rid of your opponent's stadiums. It's just overall a one of in every single deck from now on, and it's so good. It's so good. It just makes the format better. Get yourself a bunch of these. Holo's good for decks that play their GX attacks right away. Solgaleo and Metagross are big examples, for sure. Other than that, it's whatever. Shuffle your hand into your deck. If you use your GX attack, draw 7. If not, draw 4. If you do use an early GX attack, this is the best draw supporter we have, period. Shuffle draw is going to be a lot more powerful, because that means you put less crap in the discard pile, which you don't always want to do. So, yeah, I like Hala. Mallow's cool. It lets you look at the top 2 cards. It lets you choose 2 cards, put them in the top of your deck in any order. It's cool, I guess. Maybe worth having 1. It's nice for things like Oranguru and what's the one, Sushi Master, as what's his name calls it, Octillery. So I guess it's cool for that. Also cool for decks that Maybe like my Togekiss deck wants those energies on the top of the deck so they're easier to land. That's always nice. Max Potion got a reprint. Multi-switch is weird. I don't know if I like it. Moving energy from your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. You can move special energies as well. So I don't know. I don't see a reason to have it, honestly. That's just me. Rescue Stretcher though. Definitely get yourself some of these. This is going to be the Buddy Buddy Rescue replacement in every deck that plays Buddy Buddy Rescue. This is going to be a deck that replaces Super Rod if you don't want to put energy back into your deck, because you can either put a Pokemon from your discard pile to your hand, like Dragonite, like Koopa, like Shaman, like Tapu Lele, or put 3 Pokemon from your discard pile back into your deck. You want to load up your deck with Pokemon again, maybe not be decked out, maybe get a lot of evolution cards you need back. Very versatile card, very good card. Get yourself 4 of these just to have a playset. Now, here's where the rant happens, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have to get 15 for me as a master set collector. I have to get 15 full arts, all right? That's 15 full arts, right? So I have to get 15 ultra rares, 15 full arts, and then this, like, look at every secret rare we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There are 24 hyper rares or better, hyper rares and secret rares. Every Pokemon got a hyper rare. And we have Decidueye, Incineroar, and Primarina hyper rares in this set. Alright? We have 5 secret rare item cards. Aqua Patch, which I have to have 4 of from my Lapras deck, Enhanced Hammer, which I have to have 2 of, so I play max rarity, 2 of these Field Blowers, I have to have them, I have to have 4 Max Potions for other decks, and I have to have 4 Rare Candies for other decks, so I can play maximum rarity. I'm a maximum rarity guy. I'm broke right now because my card just broke down, my phone just broke, school's expensive, I'm losing so much money, and then they do this to me. This card right here is worth like $130. And then they made secret rare DCE, which once again I have to have 4 of. This is dumb. I'm already the kind of guy who wants to have 10 of each energy, and they made 3 more energies in this set alone. I'm so pissed. This is going to be impossible. This is going to be literally impossible to do. So this is my shout out to you guys. If anybody wants to help me, good trades, I can give you good prices and everything, or I can buy them for you for a decent price. Like, help a man out, because this is, as a master set collector and as a maximum rarity collector, I'm going to end my life. But let me know if you guys like this video. It's an hour long. It just goes to show how versatile, big, and just like how much this deck, much this set changed the format. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, guys. I'm gonna end it with this ridiculousness over here, because this is just dumb. Look, this is dumb. This is so dumb. Drop a like, subscribe, share, all the good jazz, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.